Hi, my name is Jenny.
And my name's Eury.
It is 2022 and you've guessed it, it's the year of feeling at home and still the year of the bunny rabbit, at least for us here on the Conscious Cuppa podcast.
Hello, Brew Crew. Welcome back. It's season 3, episode 10. And we've got a question for you. What has going to the swimming pool, taking a trip abroad, and going on a train to Timbuktu got to do with bunny rabbits?
Those furry friends of ours, they have a habit of breeding that reflects one of nature's most incredible patterns. That is going to help us understand how this universe supports us from A to Z. From having the thought to having the thing. From wanting it to being it.
So whether you need a new table, better health, or the best day ever,
whether you want to get the right price, find the right fabric, or fire up your passion, the Bunny Rabbit Solution has a tip for you.
We really love hearing from you, so please send in your beautiful mugshots, your answers, your questions and suggestions on Twitter at Conscious Cuppa or email us consciouscuppa@gmail.com. That's CONSCIOUSCUPPA.
And we're also now on YouTube and Spotify if you're not there already, for all of you who like your visuals. And Brew Crew, stay tuned to the end of the show for an Akan Easter egg, getting yourself some Ghanaian wisdom. But for now, we invite you to grab a brew,
take a pew,
and let's make the impossible
come true.
What are we drinking today?
So Jenny, we've got a real treat all the way from Ireland.
Not just Ireland, Nigeria.
It's true.
I don't know if you know the connection between Dublin and Nigeria.
Don't know, tell us, Jenny.
Guinness! Yeah, so we've got 2 bottles of Guinness. I don't know if we're going to be able to tell the difference. I do know that one is 325ml and the other is 330.
Who's getting which?
Who's getting which? We're both going to taste and see if we can tell the difference.
Okay.
But more importantly, big thanks to Ungi and his housemate Silka, who brought us back a bag of Guinness and flame grilled steak deep ridges for extra flavour crisps from the Guinness factory.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Silka.
Hold on, we haven't tasted them yet.
I really like the taste. I'm not sure I'm getting the Guinness, really.
I'm not getting the Guinness either.
They're really nice.
Still not getting the Guinness.
They've got they're very particularly crunchy.
Do you think we're going to get drunk on these crisps?
No.
Not at all. Let's open the bottles. You close your eyes.
Oh, you're going to give me the taste test?
I'm going to give you the taste test. That's one.
So you have to move them round, because otherwise I'll know.
Yeah. First one.
Okay.
Okay, don't drink all of it.
Yeah. Okay, then give me the next one. That's the same one. You're so cheeky.
I mean, obviously the water's going to be a bit different from one country to another. But can you taste any difference?
I think this is slightly sharper.
Okay, I'm going to taste them now. No, there's going to be a difference. Yeah, definitely sharper.
Okay.
Or maybe I said that because you said that. You put that thought in my head.
Exactly.
Inception. We hope you've got something wonderful in your glass, in your flask, in your cup.
Cheers.
So here's what we do. If you haven't already listened to the overview in episode 1, we recommend you go back and do that. This season, we're looking at the roadmap of life, the one that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whether you're up or down or in or out, whatever you eat, if you're messy or neat, this roadmap is working for you.
It's a pattern, an unfolding spiral that's been called the Fibonacci sequence. This universal spiral is a path that nature builds with you to lift you out of wanton pain and into ease and delight. Before we go any further, we ask you to take a look around you. Take a good look. Can you see any object that wasn't once only imagined? Big, small, tall, short, all ideas follow the path of growth from thought to thing in your very own wonderful human imagination. Your ideas are no exception, so pick one and let's get in the lift of life.
It's time for Magic Minute. This is the time it goes up 13 floors in the lift of life to talk about and brainstorm the idea for this week, or the step for this week, which is number 6. It's the second hidden number. Number 6 is, in the Hebraic language, Vav, spelt V-A-U, strangely. And the symbol, the glyph for it, is a nail, as in a screw, rather than your fingernail. And this is all about making an impression. We need a minute on the clock. And first of all, we're going to brainstorm what making an impression or the use of a nail might be. And the lift doors are closing now.
So, an impression, Jenny. An idea? No.
We've got the idea at 01. So we're making a fingerprint, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
We're fixing something in place. We're creating a copy. There is another kind of joining going on here, because you're getting one thing is like the male and the female again. It's like one thing is pressing upon another.
Yeah.
So there is a meeting.
Consummation.
A consummation. There is a mark made. So I used about half. Used about half of those spikes on our mind map.
Yeah.
So let's turn to Rogette's definitions. We've got the nail and we've got impress. I'm going to read out with another minute to go, and we're going back down in the lift. And the lift doors are closing now. Remember? Establish. Weave.
I like that one.
Yeah. Stamp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a good one. Sink in the mind. I like that idea of something being so soft, like doing wax.
Yeah.
Entwine. Screw. Arouse. Crystallize. And this is to do with fix as well. Rooted. Rivet can go with screw. I think we've run out of space, haven't we?
Yeah.
Rivet. And is there any more that's set on fire? Set on fire. So that's a good amount, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
That is a lot. You'll probably see on screen, if you're watching the visual version of this podcast, the amount of
the mind map's proper full.
Yeah, all the different ways that number 6 has this impact. I think impact might even be a word that we could. I like the word indelible as well. I'm just adding more spikes where there's none, like an indelible mark. I love that idea. So if you've got any suggestions, you could email them in for this episode and previous episodes where we were missing these marks that we should have been making on our mind map. But yeah. So number 6, the nail, the impression, Vav. The second hidden number is all about fixing something in place.
Yeah.
So very quick recap before we do our 10 minutes on number 6. We've had the idea. We've accommodated it. We've said, okay, I'm going to have to make a few arrangements. I'm going to go on into a journey into my imagination to find a place where I already have it.
Yeah.
I'm engaged with it. I'm touching something in my imagination to prove that I've been there. I'm starting to think from this new way of being in the world. So I'm thinking from and not of. So engaged with that, I've become married to that idea, that new idea of myself. So that takes us up to last week. In the same way that when we were at number 5, when we entered the dream, number 4 came next as a consequence, and what we didn't want is forgotten. We detach.
Yeah.
It was taken out through the back door in a way. Let's put 10 minutes on the clock and start talking about what this number that is hidden means to us.
So, Jenny, this is a hidden number.
Yep.
It comes out of sequence after 8.
Yes.
And so can you tell us a little bit about what we're doing here, what happens for us here?
Yes, it's another one of those places where something is happening for you in a way as a consequence of what you've been doing consciously.
Yes.
It's something that's happening in the background.
That's right.
So it's not an obvious step. And just like with number 4, which happened as a consequence of number 5, a consequence of you feeling that you already are the person you want to be, already have the thing that you wanted to have, what used to be starts to disappear through the door, through the back door. It doesn't come first, as people think you have to divorce before you can get married. On the spiritual plane, on the spiritual level, you get married, and then as a consequence, the divorce happens. In this, it's a similar thing. We had the marriage last week, and then we go back to number 6. Even though what we're going to talk about is going to let you know that number 6 would definitely come next.
Yeah.
Because you have a marriage, and what happens on your marriage night?
You consummate it.
You consummate it. You do the creative acts because you presumably are going to have children. That's the idea. So that's the idea we have on the physical level in our societies. And it happens here as well. But number 6 represents that act, even though it came 2 numbers before, and you don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So in number 8, we got married. We were so taken away, we got carried away. We completely forget our old life, and we've got a whole new life.
Yeah.
And we're so breathing into this new life, giving it life through our inspiration, through our mental acts, that at number 6, you're going to reach a crescendo with that imagining.
Yeah.
If you are of an age where you have sex and you have the physical crescendo, the physical climax, you'll know what it's like when you do this to have a mental climax.
Yeah.
You're going to have a mental orgasm.
You're going to thrill.
And that mental orgasm is this thrill.
Yeah.
And that thrill, you're going to feel it on your physical level as well. It's going to create a particular frequency on the physical level that is going to go out of you like a shock wave.
Yeah.
And is therefore going to create a shock wave that comes back to you in the form of a new personality or an object.
Yeah.
The object that you are in tune with.
So you've had this brilliant idea that you're absolutely committed to.
Yeah.
Of yourself, of this object, of this desire.
You're married.
You're married, you're going on holiday, it's brilliant. So then you're going into your imagination. You've gone into your imagination with this because you're committed to it. And then it's building. Sometimes it's just thrilling. As you're imagining it, you're just thrilling immediately. But sometimes it's that practice. So I've definitely had to practice that thrill. So I've had to repeat it. I've gone back into my imagination and I'm repeating it and repeating it. And it's kind of gaining momentum, it feels like.
That's exactly right. It's like a spinning wheel. You're trying to get this to go to such an extent, to such a perpetual motion, that it spins on its own now. Yeah. But it's going to spin at a different rate to what it used to spin at when you had the old job. You're taking it to a certain level that matches what it feels like to be in this new job. But you're right. You might have to spend 5 nights, 7 nights, 2 months, every night if you can, before you go to bed, thinking of yourself in this new job or a new house or a new relationship or just a new mode and mood of being. Yeah. To take it into your imagination, and it's almost like going there to meet your new partner, which is your subconscious mind. This is the part of you that is you are trying to make an impression upon.
Yeah, that's receptive.
That's receptive. you're going in the Song of Solomon in the Bible, it's all about this conscious mind and the subconscious mind meeting. And the subconscious mind is the part of you that is going to take the impression from you, this impression that I have this new thing, I am this new type, this new character, and is going to project that onto the screen of space and time.
Yeah.
It has to override the previous impressions you made, the impression that you might have had since you were a kid.
I really like that idea of going there and meeting it. And I haven't really thought of it like that until we're talking about on the podcast today. I do the practice, but that idea of going there to meet it like a rendezvous is just lovely, because I'm a bit of a disciplinarian with myself. I'm like, you've got to practice because you haven't quite thrilled to this yet.
Yes.
You know, you want it. It's still, you're committed to it, but it turns into a bit of a task sometimes.
So you really want this to be something that fills you with joy.
Yes.
And we've talked about Yakin and Boaz, these two pillars at the entrance to the temple, to approach them with not just this confidence of completion, but this love for the whole. You're calling into existence this thing that you really want through love.
Yeah.
So when you go into your imagination before you go to sleep and you're imagining yourself as thinking from, then you're doing it to such an extent that the joy, the climax that you give it, just like when you're making love, there's a point where you can't go anymore. You've climaxed, you've finished. You're spent, and therefore there's no more. There's no more. It's done. Stop the podcast. It's time for a Neville Nugget. We hope you haven't been too overwhelmed with everything we've been talking about, and it's time for a tea break. We've still got our Guinness.
So Jenny, what number would you like?
I will have number 1, please.
So number 1. It's not what I want that I attract, but what I believe is true.
Oh, that's a hard one.
It's not what I want that I attract, but what I believe is true.
So be careful what you believe. But at the end of the day, you're going to believe what you were taught to believe, right? You're going to have to change your fundamental beliefs.
And I think this is a gift. If there is something lovely, delightful, wonderful that you want, and it's a gift, then believe it to be true. Believe in it.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. I believe that. On with the podcast.
On with the podcast, Jenny. Yeah.
And this is the thing that Jesus says on the cross. Jesus says on the cross, it's finished. So this is the moment when he's been crucified. Now, let's go back to this word, the nail, the crucifixion. Not only are you talking about something crossing over, so think about 2 sticks that are crossed and nailed, like you might make some woodwork. When you cross over, things were separate, and now you've put them together.
Yeah.
If you nail them together, that is you fixing something in place.
Yeah, they're joined.
And this cross is when you move over from one to another. This is what Easter is all about. This is of the crossing of an equinox, the crossing of a particular timeline.
So Passover.
You're going into a new territory, and now it's been fixed. So when Jesus is on the cross and he's fixed with the 6 points, the 6 vortices, your head, your hands, your feet, and your right side, your body is the cross. Your physical body is the cross on which you're going to nail this new idea.
Yeah.
So remember that the Bible, if you've listened to season 2, you know this, the Bible is not talking about history. It's an allegory. It's stories that are trying to help you through a mystical mind to understand how you're creating your reality, essentially. So when Jesus is on the cross, that's you, imagining yourself onto something completely new as a new person. So this crucifixion, the nails, the wood is you're carrying the cross, that's you, that's your physical body. It all makes sense when you think of it more of story than of history. But there's a few other things that we should talk about. This Vav is also about warmth.
So it's about, whenever we talk about Vav, it's Vavavum. It's the
the
energy.
So there's the thrill, but there's also the warmth, the giving of life. When something is dead, it goes cold.
Yeah.
So when you making something alive through this sex act, but a mental sex act, you're putting two things together and fixing them in place.
Yeah.
You're giving life to it, so there's warmth there. But also just think again of the warmth, the delight, the satisfaction, the love you have for this new thing, rather than you're taking it by force. You want this thing. I'm entitled to it. I should have it. This is much more of a beautiful approach to this thing that you're calling with love. And that way, it stays with you.
And I think you said something to me recently, and maybe we've already mentioned it on the podcast, about a gift. And that's what I'm really, I like this idea of rendezvousing with my gift. That actually this idea that was given to me was the initial gift.
Yeah.
And then I'm taken on this journey. If I give myself over to this journey, these steps that we've been discussing, then I rendezvous with my gift. And what a beautiful rendezvous, because it is a gift of love. It is a gift of satisfaction. Of course, I'm going to be joyous. I'm going to be delighted. Doing this podcast today has really changed my mind as well about how I go into my imagination, especially with the things that I might consider slightly challenging.
Uh-huh.
I might need a new pair of gloves in winter, and that's often very easy to do. It's easy to find. I found numerous, as you have, Jenny, numerous gloves. However, there are things that I've found a little bit more challenging, to say the least. So I've given this gift that I'm like, oh, that's a little bit challenging. But now I can go into my imagination with this delight, with this satisfaction, with this idea of rendezvousing in this delight and satisfaction. Yeah. It's much more, I feel excited about that. I feel more excited about my practice than I've ever felt.
It's because what I think you're saying, that it feels less like a task.
Yes.
When you feel like you're going on a date. Or,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a date with your husband or with your wife.
Yes.
You are going in as the husband who says, I want to give you this. I want to impress you.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to impress you with this. I think when I came to live here in South London, there was definitely some impressing going on, because I had imagined what it would be like to be in my new place. I didn't know what it was going to be like exactly, because of the place I used to live was so impressive. Whatever was going to come next was going to be even better. But I did say to myself when I was imagining the whole thing beforehand, I've already got an amazing view, so I'm going to have to feel impressed by whatever's coming next.
Yeah. So
before I even got to this place in the physical, I had to receive an impression with a feeling, because it doesn't always have to be the thing that you imagine, but I had to impress myself with the feeling of being so impressed by what I've been given.
Yeah, definitely. And what I love about that is that you're impressing yourself in a sense. You know, this is a gift that's been given to you, but then you're kind of giving it to yourself as well.
Yes, I had to say to myself, oh my God, you're just showing off with this view that I've got now. You're just showing off. It's like you want to give yourself the best, so have the best.
So it's interesting because I've been called a fixer in the past. There's a real light side, I believe, to every personality trait. There's a light side, and I feel like this is the fixing. For the first time, I've really heard you say, this is about nailing it, this is about fixing it together. And I'm like, I do that.
When you approach with this call of love, the fixing isn't so much about trying to fix something that's broken.
Yeah.
It's fixing into place onto your timeline. So in other words, every time you kind of say you're thinking about what you're going to watch on Netflix tonight.
Yeah.
There's 10 different avenues. Okay. You reach a junction and there's 10 different options.
Yeah.
This is you fixing onto one of those 10. I'm going to go this way, or rather, I have gone this way.
Yeah. So
that you fix in your mind, you're watching something funny tonight, or you fix in your mind, you're watching something romantic tonight. So already you start collapsing the things that you're not going to watch.
Yes,
there were all these options, weren't just 10, obviously there was thousands of options, but you're narrowing down and narrowing down and narrowing down. And what the 6 does is saying, it's here. This is the husband you've got. This is what's coming from the storehouse. And what we're going to be going into next week and the weeks, the few weeks that we've got now, what's happening in the background to bring you that thing onto your timeline, so that on Tuesday or March or 2024, whatever year where you're listening to this, at some point on your physical timeline, your space-time continuum, you are going to meet that thing at number 13.
Yeah.
So here is where it gets fixed onto a particular timeline. Out of the thousands of possibilities, this is where you're going now. But there's still time to back out if maybe you didn't approach it with love. Maybe you approached it with vengeance, bitterness, anger, desperation. You can change all of that.
Yeah.
And approach it now with love. Even if you don't know exactly what it is you're going to get, but if you approach it with love, it changes everything. And during the period between 6, 7 and 13, that big chunk of space there where we don't know what's going on, just like in pregnancy, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
You just know in 9 months you're going to have a little bubba.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the positron. Again, nasty word. Don't let it scare you. It's a beautiful thing. It's time to get back in the lift of life.
Yep.
And we're going to do a touch exercise.
We are.
Yes. So what we really want to do this week is inevitably a bit of DIY. So if you go through this exercise, at some point you're going to do a little bit of DIY, and everybody's usually got a bit of DIY around the house that they've been avoiding. You're not going to be able to avoid it if you do this exercise. So, minute on the clock, Eury.
It's on.
And the lift doors are closing now. The first thing we're going to do is close our eyes. You have a nail in your hand. It's a long one. And in the other hand, you have a hammer. You're going to be hammering this nail into a piece of wood. Position the nail where it needs to go. Hold it firm. And start to tap the hammer onto the head of the nail. You can go in a little bit further now with that hammer. A little bit harder. And now take it all the way in as far as it needs to go. Maybe you're hanging a picture. Maybe you're fixing some wood in place. And then you can put the hammer down. Your job is done. Somebody around the house is going to be happy. So I think that's it for this week. Anything to add? Anything to give final impressions with?
Just although I'm really enjoying the Guinness crisps, I don't get the Guinness bit. I think this is a bit of a product placement.
Oh, I mean, Silka mentions various things that they had, but somebody's going to buy it. She bought the crisps.
Yeah, and they're good.
They're good, but they're not. Neither are they Guinness flavoured or are they steak flavoured. I'm just getting lots of salt and vinegar. Remember, you can contact us on Twitter @ConsciousCuppa.
And email us consciouscuppa@gmail.com. That's CONSCIOUSCUPPA.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Brew Crew! Thanks for waiting to the end of the podcast for your Akan Easter egg. Eury, you're going to pick.
This is mine. This is what I want.
It is the river that loves you that enters your pot.
Ooh.
That is perfect for this week, really.
Yeah. Love again.
It is the river that loves you that enters your pot. I'm sure there's something sexual there as well. But it is true in terms of the desire that is perfect for you enters the pot of your mind to say, please take me, have me as a gift.
Yeah. I think there's many interpretations of that.
There is, but maybe you have an idea of what that means as well.
Let us know.
Let us know. Okay. Bye.
Bye.